Good morning, everyone. I'm Philippe Lafoucrière, Distinguished Engineer at GitLab for Secure and Defend. I'm here today with Lucas Charles, Senior Backend Engineer for Secure, and we're going to talk about security approvals outside of the merge request. So to give a bit of background here, we already have something in the merge request. Let me find the link and share that. I will share my screen, make sure it's clear. All right, so in merge request, we have something that will block the merge, so make the merge button gray if we have at least one finding that is high, critical, or unknown, and only someone for the vulnerability check approval group can approve the merge request or not. And that's a gate that we created. It's working well. The only problem is it blocks at the merge request level, but there is nothing in the dashboard. So basically anyone with at least the developer responsibility in the project can go to the dashboard and dismiss pretty much whatever they want and being unnoticed completely. So we don't want that to happen. If we provide this kind of feature for our customers, like the security gate, we should also have something outside of the merge request, meaning in the dashboard. The problem that we have is this approval is using some features that we're relying on in the merge request, which are the approval system. And so it's only happening in the context of a merge request. There is nothing outside of that. So how would we ensure that no one is able to dismiss anything at the project level and even more at the group level? Because at the group level, we are completely outside of the context of the project. So there is no way to check the approval rules of every single project, or maybe we should do that. I don't know. That's the kind of questions that we should answer today. Any questions? Oh, we have a bunch of questions from Matt already. Do you want to vocalize something before that?
I just copied those over from the issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not really. I was wondering if it'd be worth going over kind of the existing way that approvals work, but I'm also mixed on that. I think that might be getting ahead of ourselves in terms of, I don't know if we want to actually expose the same functionality or start from a different direction. In the case of like something like using the existing approval rules functionality, but within the context of the security dashboard, I think that could be complex, but maybe we just look at what we're trying to accomplish first. So maybe to figure out what we want to do, we should just see if we can answer these questions from that.
I guess what we want to do is to make sure that we're not protecting one side of the project and not the other side.
So if everything occurs through a merge request, though, it is protected already, right?
Yes. Everything that would be introduced by AMR would be, I will quote, protected, because we're only getting the results, but not in the dashboard, and especially not in the group dashboard. So if I'm part of the GitLab org group, for example, I can go to that dashboard and dismiss vulnerabilities in many different places. And we don't have a timeline currently. I created an issue to follow the activity on various projects, especially when it comes to security. So if we had the timeline, we would be able to spot that someone started to click around and dismiss a lot of things. So that could partially solve this problem. I'm also afraid that if we start using the approval rules outside of the context of a merge request, like in the dashboard directly, we could rely on that. That could be confusing for the users because it's explicitly said in the documentation and in the settings that these rules apply during a merge request. So I don't know. I'm afraid of getting the users a bit lost around here.
Well,
maybe we should move that out of the rules. I don't know.
Maybe, but at the same time, if we go the other direction, would it be confusing to have two separate ways that works? So I guess on a similar note to that, would you ever want a different group of approvers in merge requests versus the dashboard? Because if you do, then we would need to build this as separate functionality regardless.
So I'm hearing here that we took a shortcut maybe with the merge request approvals, and maybe we need something at a different level where it would be more tied to policies and compliance than what we have today.
Yeah. So how would you envision this working, from a user story? So say
I would have a security center where I can manage everything related to security, and I would move that away from the merge request approvals. I was demoing that the other day, and I honestly completely forgot at some point where it was configured. And during the demo, I didn't want to click around and to make the demo more messy than it was. But it was confusing to me that it was an approval rule and not a group. So yeah, I had a hard time to find that in the settings, and I completely forgot that it was actually in the merge request settings. So I would envision something that is more security oriented and not really tied to the merge request especially. So probably move that to kind of security center, or even better, directly rules as code. Like I would be able to write, if I have at least one finding that is critical, high, or unknown, I require the approval of that group of persons. That's even better because it's working everywhere, in the merge request, in the dashboard, anywhere where you would interact with a finding. Right now, we just have the merge request on the dashboard, but I don't know, maybe in the future, API for instance, if we put something in the UI and then there's a way to bypass that because you can update the vulnerability directly with an API, we're getting back to square one. So, and that's not going to work with the large customers that we're targeting for Ultimate, because they need a way to ensure that no one is able to mess around with the data.
So what we're really talking about here is we're not talking about. So the term approval I find a bit confusing because it's not approving like a code change. It's essentially confirming or dismissing the findings, right, or the vulnerabilities.
It's yeah, I get that. It's confusing. It's either confirming decisions or accepting a risk. And this is honestly a recurrent feedback and topic that we have with customers. Who is really able to dismiss something? And when we have said basically every developer is able to do that, hopefully we can get back to them saying, oh, but if the finding is critical, high, or unknown, we will require the approval anyway, even if you dismiss that. So there's no way to bypass that. But that's the only place where we do that, and that's a problem.
Okay, so I'm just going to list, like, I'm trying to think about like the actions that someone would take here. So we want something like limit dismissals to like a specific class of users. Limit, what do we, well, I don't know if we have like confirmation of findings. Is that a thing now? Because we have the auto confirmation of promotion with first class. Okay, assuming it is an auto, then limit confirmation.
It's not there yet.
Okay. Again, to a specific class of users, right?
Well, confirmation is not really an issue, apart from creating more noise.
Right. Okay. So is it only
is really this one? It is the ability for any kind of user in the project to click around.
Yeah. So currently this is maintainers, right? Developers can, no, developers can as well.
Developers can, yeah, they can dismiss everything, anywhere. They just can't merge if we pass the certain threshold of criticality. In this case, we need the approvals, or at least the approval from the vulnerability check group.
Is there anything missing from this list? Because it seems like we basically just need to limit dismissals.
Well, there's another issue that I even mentioned. I'm not sure that we can define, I haven't changed that. Can we define approval rules at the group level?
Not yet.
Not yet. So you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where that issue is.
When you have thousands of projects, there's no way you will do that one by one. Also, because I'm not sure you can use a group in there. Like if you have someone changing roles in the company, that means you would update all the approval rules, or I don't know. Check that.
Yeah.
Oh, we can use a group. Or at least
support default approvers. This one.
another question, can we interact with the approvers through an API?
I think we can. Let's see.
Because we have a customer requesting that. They want to be able to approve based on various rules that they would have outside. So in a third-party system, and update the merge request with the boat. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
So going to that page, it's worth mentioning the way that this is currently, the way the architecture currently works for this, which is there are project level MR approvals, and then there's merge request level MR approvals. What happens currently is when you open a merge request, it inherits the project's approval rules, but you can modify that on a merge request level as well. So you can take a merge request and you can create an approval rule directly on the merge request. If I said, this looks really scary, I really want Philippe specifically to approve this one. So there's really like two resources that we're talking about there. There's the project level approval, and then there's the merge request level approval. And then there's the two actions of approving merge requests and unapproving.
How can you do that? I don't see that in
The very last actions on the docs. So specifically, this link here.
I'm not, okay. I think you wanted to link that instead, to create a merge request rule directly.
Oh, no, I just misunderstood your question. I thought you were asking
okay.
how to approve through the API.
No, that's answering my question. Okay, I thought you were bringing something new to the table.
Oh, nope, nothing new here.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, there is decent API support. So propagating rules for all projects in a group should be pretty easily scriptable, but it's not going to be synced. So any changes to like, any future changes are not going to obviously reapply to the project, at least currently.
So I'm brainstorming here. It's not related, but I want to keep a trace of this. The problem that we have is that dismissals are in the DB. So you click, saves, it's stored, nothing else. So we're bypassing all the workflow of the project. Like if you define approvals, if you define these kind of things, I'm not going through them. If we had these dismissals in the repo directly, we could use things like project owners to ask for approval of a particular group. Use the project rules and workflow. I know that's a huge shift. That's also a possibility. Because that's where in the merge request, you would have in the changes the information about I'm going to dismiss that. So you have a better visibility with that, and it's going to propagate to branches once you merge that to master.
So maybe something like when you add something like a linter exception inline, like a comment.
I'm not It could be in the file directly, like what we do with I think Brightman is doing that. Like you can dismiss in line directly, or it could be in a single file. You say, I want to dismiss that and that and that, so you have everything in one location. And that means from the dashboard, when you want to dismiss something, that will bring you to a new merge request page where we go through all the, and you have, I like this idea because you have traceability, auditability. It's helping in many different areas. And if you want to have that in master, you need someone from the maintainers group. Not everyone is able to merge the master. So it has to go through a specific list of users. So that's why I like this idea of having a single file, but I'm not sure about that one. The only thing that I like is you can have code owners. So every change to that file will bring the attention of some people in the project. Whereas if you do that in line, there's no way to bring the attention of these people.
What if we had like a virtual code owner? So within the code owner file, you would have something like, you still use code owners, but if we had a special symbol. Well, yeah. Instead of the inline comments, what you could have is you could have like a special symbol. So instead of a file path, it's like, I don't know. I'll just try typing this.
Thanks. I forgot what I wanted to say.
So something like that, where within the actual code owner file, we could have like a special keyword that is, instead of a path, it's something that we can resolve to like map to a feature within our application. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
I'm trying to figure out if it duplicates the information, because here you're saying that this group is in charge of the dashboard. Whereas if we say, well, yeah, it doesn't have to be the dashboard, especially. It could be everything related to dismissals is going through this group, whether it's the dashboard or in the merge request or whatever.
This doesn't really help with the git blame problem, and it doesn't really, this is basically a workaround for having a simple user permission model within GitLab. Like this would be the same thing as adding a dropdown somewhere that said permission for secure dashboard and select like groups. I don't think this solves the issue of like tracking individual dismissals. Should we try and answer Matt's questions up here? So we have just a few minutes left. I didn't really answer this first one. I just said, here's what's currently the case.
What is the experience if I have approval rights for a particular project and I'm not on the group dashboard? If I have group approval rights and I'm on the instance dashboard.
So if I have approval, if I can approve vulnerabilities for a specific project and I'm in the group security dashboard, would we differentiate between approving for that project versus a project where I'm not an approver? So I guess, are we tying permissions to a project or to a dashboard?
That's the main problem. I would say at the project level and at the group level then, but again, it doesn't fit really well with the merge request approval rules.
Yeah. But it seems like the dashboard would make sense initially, right? It just doesn't. In an ideal world, it seems like the dashboard, you would have approvals at a dashboard level, not at a project level. I don't know though. I go back and forth. Okay. Next.
It's pretty much the same question. Should we offer users without this new approval power a way to see approvers on a given dashboard? Maybe a flag for approval option.
I mean, I think that this would be very similar to merge requests. It would just show in line who the approvers could be.
Yeah, you can answer that.
I really don't like the security configuration page idea. I feel like this is like an anti-pattern. I know we already started doing this, so maybe that's fine, but
Is the best place to manage this in the global settings left menu? To me, the best place is where we define the policies. So that's for sure. If we're talking about the base place, if we're talking about MVC,
we need policies.
Yeah.
Can we just do OPA within secure?
I think so. I created an issue for that, and it's already getting some attention. So I don't know, maybe because that would be a very good case of using OPA.
Yeah. Do we know who is owning the security dashboard going forward?
Not so sure. It's moving a lot lately.
Okay. Well, anything to wrap up?
No, I will add that to the issue and see how it goes. We need to involve product at some point because there are many different directions in this issue. But at least we can get back to our customers and say, here's more thoughts. What do you think?
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. That was great. Any objection on publishing that to YouTube?
No, go for it.
Let's do that. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.